Okay, guys, now we're going to do our second topic of the week. And with that, I say, hit it, Chris.
When the moon hits your eye like a bigger pizza pie, that's Switch Mora.
That was wonderful.
When it hits your face, you just want to urinate. Switch your
a nice duet there. It was beautiful.
Yeah. There we go.
We're going to be talking about a little game called The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Now, if you don't want any spoilers or anything like that, stay away. We won't get into too much spoilerish stuff.
Zelda's in it.
Right. And I'm surprised you didn't do any kind of Zelda music at all. But you went for the song where people are eating spaghetti and having a good time. Okay. Now,
okay.
There's no words. There's no
right.
words.
Okay.
I'm done.
Now, to kick things off.
We'll never get through this flipping
Brant,
show.
Brant, in our chat, we all started talking about Zelda, how great this game is.
Yeah.
This is, according to Metacritic, it is tied for the second highest scored game on Metacritic overall. It is sitting at a 98% out of 100 on Metacritic. After, I forget how many reviews over, maybe 100, or I forget, however many sites were counted on this. The only game higher than this is Ocarina of Time at a 99%.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now,
that's a different topic.
Right. Now, when we first started talking about Zelda and how much we loved and how great it was, Brant, you came in and said Horizon Zero Dawn is the better game.
I was enjoying
Now,
them.
I will say Horizon Zero Dawn sitting at 93%. Now, jokingly, I said, how could you like a 93% more than 98%? But, we all have our own opinions on what we like more. Now, since
Most
then...
of the time, Josh is wrong.
Josh is wrong. #.
Now, since then, you've come back and you've said you may have spoken too soon.
Yes.
Now, I guess let's just kind of kick things off with Zelda. What changed your mind? What in this game is opening your eyes to, the greatness that is Breath of the Wild?
Okay. So when I said that, it was yesterday, and I put in a great 5-6 hours of time since then. And I have to say, everything is it's just almost perfection. The 98 isn't, it is what it is. It's true. It's like today when I was playing, I threw a bomb at some enemies and he kicked it back at me. How did the enemies it blew up in my face. And with the physics, the physics aren't even touched on to a great extent in this game. And you're given everything you need pretty early on. And so when you get stumped by something and then figure it out, it's like you can find out what it is right there. It's not like go get the grappling hook or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So those shrines that you go into, there's, I guess, over 100, but they're all perfectly laid out. They're bite-sized puzzle things that you can figure out. And that's what I always had a problem with Zelda. I'm not much of a puzzle guy. And I think they just knock it out of the park as far as that goes. Mm-hmm. The combat in this game is not deep, but it is satisfying and it works. Mm-hmm. It works well. It's so great that they don't even need RPG mechanics because there's so many different ways you can take out the enemies with the physics and having a boulder fall on somebody or roll one or use bombs. And there's so much to talk about, but early impressions on, I was too quick to say something, and I love this game.
Sure. And actually, before we get any farther, I forgot to ask, kind of let our listeners know, where are you at in the game? Like, have you gotten to like the first dungeon yet? Have you where are you? Are you just exploring? Have you not really done anything yet?
Well, that's the funny thing about it. I think we're all at different points in this game. Like, I'm off doing my own thing on this one side. You're over here completely different. And I haven't even reached Kakariko Village. I've just been trying to get those things trying to open up more of the map
the towers,
and everything.
Sure.
It's probably harder because I'm not further in the story. I don't have a good set of armor, so people can one hit kill me.
Yes.
At times. But that's the great thing about this game is there's always a solution. Like I can keep dying and still, figure out what to do, try something different and figure it out and still beat the thing. And plus they're saying it's like comparable to Dark Souls, which Dark Souls games are my favorite games of all time. It isn't really from the combat. Dark Souls is much deeper, but it's still just as satisfying. And when you die, it's not like where your souls get left off in a place and you have to go get it. It's just the checkpoint system is great because it auto saves automatically for you and you're never too far back from where you died. So it's hard, but it's not frustrating hard.
Sure.
And so they nail it with that, in my opinion.
It is crazy because as you listen to other people talk about the game, like different websites, different podcasts, they all say the same thing. There are so many, quote unquote, water cooler moments where everybody's doing something different. Everybody has their own experiences. Because for myself, I mean, I'm slowly moving along, and I'm kind of just following the story path, right? And I'm climbing those towers as I get to that part in the story where they say go to this area, do this. Because eventually, where you get to, you have to go to these different domains, right, to do actual dungeons versus the smaller bite-sized shrines. And right now, I'm in the Zora dungeon. I mean, no spoiler there, obviously. We knew Zoras were going to be in it. And I'm at the tail end of this dungeon, and I, for the life of me, can't figure this stupid thing out. Because it's a giant puzzle, right? And like you said, Brant, it's just one of those things where you're given, like, everything you need within the first couple hours, maybe. I mean, because it starts off, you go into the Great Plateau, and you have to do 4 of these shrines. You have to before you go any farther. Once you do that, the game is just open, and that gives you all the tasks you need. And so I'm moving along in the story. Right. And so I'm at the Zora domain, and you have to activate, I think, like 5 of these little, tablet stone things, and there's one more I have to find. And I found it. I know exactly where it's at. It's on this spinning water wheel, right? And water's making it spin. I can't figure out for the life of me how to turn the water off to get this stupid thing to stop.
But once I
do, it's going to be, I mean,
it's going to be like eye-opening.
Do you do it with the magnet?
And I've tried doing the magnet, I've tried stopping time, because there's another place, I mean, not really spoiler, there's another place in there, because the Zora domain obviously is all about water, how to make water stop and start and all that stuff, and you can move different pipes around and things like that. And one of them I had to step on a switch to make water go. So I've been looking everywhere for switches, can't find a switch. There's one where there's a crank, can't find any cranks. Like, I'm looking everywhere and I can't solve it. But it's like, it's the last thing I have to do to totally finish the Zora domain. But I've just been, I've been exploring, but not as much. Because if you follow the story, you'll find a horse, you'll go to Kakariko Village, you'll just kind of work your way through it. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm just going the storyline route. I do some exploring because as you guys know, rupees aren't really a thing. I mean, you don't get them for cutting grass. You have to find items and sell stuff.
Yeah.
So if I need food or if I need money, I just run out and just start exploring and finding stuff. I'll go every time I go up in one of the tall towers. I use the what's called the tablet, right, to look around and pinpoint all the little shrines I can see from the tower, and I try to do those first, and I move on with the story. At least that's the pace I'm taking it. But I guess, Chris, where are you at in the game? How many hours do you think you're into it?
Well, I am. I'm currently in Hyrule. So
you've already made it to the castle. You beat the game. You're done.
Is that spoilers?
Yeah.
So I spent most of my time this weekend doing a deep dive on the actual hardware itself, and so I shuffled a lot of games, and so I haven't got to play near as much as I want to. We were talking about this before. I'm not even. I don't even have the glider yet. I'm still working with the old man in the first four shrines. So I'm like. But I probably played for about 3 hours. I probably could have been done by now, but I've done a lot of just messing around too. So I'm on the last of the shrine, and it's up on a mountain where I freeze to death.
Right.
So I believe I'm supposed to find a tunic somewhere. So that's kind of where where I am in the game right now. But after I got the first, so the first one is the magnet, right? The first shrine
you can do it in any order. You unlock all 4 abilities. You can do them in any order you want.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So anyway, so I did the magnet one first. So I just spent time just running around zapping crap with the magnet and throwing stuff at bogoblins and just like yeah, it's just so great. So again, we're talking spoilers. So as soon as you come down the hill after you get on the Great Plateau, it's the flipping Temple of Time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just spent like 30 minutes just walking around trying to see if I could, see anything that reminded me of Ocarina.
Dude,
it's
when
just
you
like
first go out, it's like that Fallout 3 moment.
Yeah.
Like how vast it is. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, so I've been playing. I've been playing a lot, and I've been climbing mountains. I will tell you that I was scaling this mountain, and I'm afraid of heights, like real life afraid of heights. And I'm playing on this little small handheld screen, and I got a little queasy just climbing up the dang mountain.
You can climb anything, which is
just about
anything. Climb anything, yeah. But because they give you the stamina meter, it kind of makes the pressure there a little bit. And I'm like looking around, I'm like, oh crap, am I gonna make it to this ledge before I fall off? And it's just like the game is just transformative. Like there's no other experience that I think I've ever had in a game like it. And again, I haven't even scratched the surface, but right. I just like to run around and just try to get into trouble. I've died a couple of times because this one time I came over a hill, I saw 2 goblins. I'm like, you guys are mine. So I had this big like hunter's axe or not hunter, whatever. Yeah. I do have Cabe and my 3-year-old was watching me because they haven't it is pretty hard, so none of the kids have really tried to tackle it yet. My 10-year-old I think could probably play a little bit, but it's a pretty
it's hard
deep game. Like there's a lot of controls and stuff, and but my 3-year-old was watching, and I was cycling through the weapons, and I had a pitchfork. He was like, "Why does he got a fork?" I'm like, that's not exactly like a fork. It does kind of look like a fork though when you look at the little icon. But yeah, I mean, I've just been going around. I've been picking up everything I can, and I've already have you guys picked up the skeleton hand?
Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool.
When because when you're just wearing it moves.
Yeah.
And on the ground it moves.
Little things in this game. There is so much care to every little thing. So I like go around and they don't like it. None of the kids like that the hand moves while I'm running around. They always want,
so great.
They always want me to switch the weapon. So I absolutely love it. I mean as soon as we get off of here, I'm gonna play and now that I've done a lot of stuff this weekend, just with like going over the hardware and stuff, it's more about just playing Zelda. So I'm hoping to sink a lot of time into it this weekend.
I thought the stamina bar would be a big problem, like you mentioned, but it really doesn't hold you back that much. Like you feel like you get enough stamina. Like I hate games that force you like to manage that.
Yeah,
but it's really not a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely loving it. Now, one thing, I was talking with Matt earlier today because he's playing through it a little bit too. He's about where you are, Chris. He's just kind of running around exploring. He's not really out of the Great Plateau yet. He doesn't have the glider thing. Oh, by the way, I was thinking about when you were talking about going up the mountain and finding the clothes to keep you warm. For me, I found hot peppers and I made food and I just ate that because I didn't.
You get a buff for it.
What?
You get a buff for it against the cold.
Yeah. Right. And so I just ate hot peppers instead and got to the top and finished it. And then afterwards, after I did all that, because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, I found out, oh, by the way, you can find this armor over here in this one specific spot, which keeps you warm. But I've talked to other people and they said, I didn't know about it either. So Brant, I was going to say, Brant hasn't found it either.
Dude, it's funny
how did you go up, Brant? Did you do hot peppers too?
Yeah, I cooked the hot peppers because it says, and then it gives you a buff against the cold. That's the only way I could get to one of the shrines.
Exactly.
Plus, it's funny because I was playing. It's like a real mountain. If you go up into the mountain and it's daytime, it stays a good temperature. But then when it turned nighttime, it just all of a sudden got cold, and I'm just like, oh crap, I gotta get out of here or get in shelter.
Yeah, because I did the exact same thing. That's so funny.
If you guys see the light, I don't know if you guys saw the lightning.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like
this game is so pretty, guys. Like it is so beautiful. Like when the lightning strikes and like sparks, it looks so good.
It's
good.
awesome.
Yeah, and if you're wearing anything metal, like a shield or a sword or anything like that, it'll
you
start
have to
sparking a little bit, because the lightning will just hit you and you're toast. It's
even the bombs. When you get the bombs, man, the explosion on the bombs is just so satisfying.
It's nice that you don't have like a bomb bag. It's just
your bomb. Yeah. It's got like a little timer, like a little refill timer, but yeah, I love it.
I mean, just early impressions of this game, like, you know, none of us are really that far, because I haven't beat the first temple yet. You haven't, you know, Chris, you haven't even found the glider yet. Brant, you're just kind of running all over the place. I talked to Corey from DNA earlier today about his experience with it, and he said what he's doing, he's just been running around fighting all the towers. He isn't doing. He's going to unlock the entire map, or at least as much as he could.
Piece of armor though, which I won't spoil.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I mean, there's just really cool. The game is just it's fantastic. Now, one thing I will say, I was talking to my brother-in-law Matt earlier today, because he's kind of playing through it. He's about where Chris is. He said, "What do you think about this Zelda game?" And you know, I told him this game is absolutely amazing. You know, I'm loving it. But right now, it kind of reminds me of Hyrule Warriors in a way. And the reason I say this is Hyrule Warriors was a Zelda game, but it was more of a different game skinned with Zelda on it, right? Because I feel like this game is amazing no matter what. This game earns all the 98s, it gets 100%. But while I'm playing it, in a way, it doesn't feel like a Zelda game. Like, it's got the winks and nods, like the Temple of Time and the Zoras and all this stuff in there, but like, there's no real music in it. Right. I mean, and as you guys know, I mean, you don't really, you know, you don't get the green clothes. You don't like it. None of it follows the Zelda formula. It's totally breaking it apart. And in a way, I feel like if it wasn't Zelda, it'd still be an amazing game. Right. And I feel like in a way, it's almost not a Zelda game. Right. I mean, I'm loving it, but like as I'm playing it, I'm like, sometimes I'll forget it's a Zelda game. I just feel like I'm playing this great open world.
The one thing that they added that I don't like about it is the weapon degradation system way
Things break so fast.
Once you get further in, you get better gear that lasts a little longer. But I don't like how you have to switch weapons. And it's cool that you can throw them for extra damage, but thanks. It's just when I think it's a little clunky, the systems in place. Like, it doesn't feel like a Horizon Zero Dawn just plays absolutely fantastic. Like, no problems with controls, but this just doesn't feel like there's too much going in and out of menus and stuff breaking that you have to keep swapping in and out. That's my main problem with the game.
Sure.
So
I hope, I mean, the collector's edition of this game came with a Master Sword statue. I hope at some point we get the Master Sword. I agree that I'm not a big fan of having the weapons breakdown either. The one thing that does do is it makes you, number one, it makes you more resourceful, but number two, it makes you use other things. Like, I would almost never use an axe in a game. It's just not a weapon that I like to use. But I've been hacking the crap out of things with axes, because I got like 3 in a row, and so I've been axing people to death. So in that perspective, I think it's kind of cool that it's forcing you to try different weapons and different different fight styles. I mean, an axe takes 2 hands to swing, and it's slower, than what you would be used to with a sword or a skeleton hand, which is bad A. But I do hope at some point we get a Master Sword, because I mean, Zelda for me, is about having the Master Sword and being like the sword, and so I do hope that comes along. I agree with what you're saying, James, about it not feeling necessarily like a Zelda game. Only I would say that it actually maybe does feel like the most Zelda game ever, because it feels like an evolution of the original game. The original game was an open world where you could tackle anything in any order that you wanted to. Very limited resources, a real difficult game, like you could die in a heartbeat in that game.
Right.
Nothing really made any sense. Nothing held your hand. So it almost feels like that's been 30 years. It almost feels like they took that game 30 years later and it's like, well, how do we turn that into a 3D experience?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what we're playing. And so while I agree, when people think, Zelda, they probably jump to either Link to the Past or Ocarina, which are both, I think, departures from the first game. And so, maybe this is more Zelda than anything that we've played before.
Sure.
So
someone made a nice analogy that's like if the original Legend of Zelda and Ocarina of Time just went together, had a baby, this was what you would get. A mixture of both.
Yeah.
Sure. I agree. It is a lot like the original Zelda, and maybe that's why it feels so different. I mean, it's taking a lot of ideas from a lot of other games. So like Skyrim and like Fallout and like all these open world games. Well, those aren't great examples by the same company, but you know what I mean. Like they're taking these ideas of all these open world games like Witcher and things like that, and throwing it right.
Hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing game. Like Nintendo took these ideas everybody else had, put them all together, but it's like the perfect formula. Like this game is just so good. Like Brant said, it is almost perfect. Like I even call it, this might be a perfect game. I mean, it's so good. It is just, it's so good.
I agree. This really gets me excited for what comes next. Like, I feel like if this is where Nintendo's headspace is, and we already see Mario Odyssey, and Mario Odyssey looks amazing. But like, what are we going to get from Metroid? And what are we going to get from an actual real Star Fox game? And it's just like, I think like that's where my mind goes. Like, if we're seeing at the launch of the system probably the best Zelda game ever made, I'll reserve my statement on that until I beat it. But from everything you're hearing, this game is an absolute masterpiece, and that's how you start the console.
Right.
Like, what else?
It's only down from here, boys.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But but seriously, like, I mean, if you look at Odyssey looks amazing, and so I'm hoping that Nintendo is really focused on. I can't wait to see what Animal Crossing looks like on Switch.
You may actually be able to it'll be a huge world, man. It's kind of like what they did with like City Folk, where you could go to the city, but there wasn't really anything there. Maybe they'll just open it all up. What if Animal Crossing becomes more like The Sims, where you're like in one giant neighborhood, you can just kind of go visit people. It'd be awesome.
Sure.
So good.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Now, one thing I don't know if you guys knew, and I didn't realize either until I heard earlier today. Monolith Soft, the company that made Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, they're the ones that helped Nintendo build this open world. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. So they went to another company and said, hey, how do we do this?
Great.
And I mean, Xenoblade's a huge open world.
All studios.
And I wonder, this game is made by the same director that made Skyward Sword, right? And Skyward Sword got a lot of hate. I enjoyed Skyward Sword, but I mean, it got a lot of hate. One of the biggest problems was all the everything was broken into parts, right? Like you'd fly through the sky, you'd fall off the hole, and here's a little island. Here's another little island. So it wasn't one big open world. Yeah. And I wonder if what Breath of the Wild is what the director of Skyward Sword always wanted it to be, but because of the Wii and it just didn't have the power, it didn't have the resources, they had to break it up into these loading times. And so maybe this is his vision all along. And I mean, it's amazing. It's an absolutely fantastic game. Is there anything else you guys want to add onto our topic of the week?
Well, I'll say that the power. This is probably there's never been a launch game to buy a system with, but I truly feel
Super Mario 64.
In my limited time. Yeah, but I was just a kid then. I don't even think that game now is a game to buy a system for, but this is the game to buy a system for. No, I'm being dead serious. Like, it's $300 is worth playing this game. If you have a Wii U, play and you don't have the money for a Switch, then by all means buy it. But yeah, just buy this system so you can play that game. Because Ben Hasty, one of my good friends, he doesn't play video games much. He actually bought a Switch, and yeah, just to play Zelda, and he just wanted to. He's doing all the positive buzz from the Switch. So if it can win over people like that he doesn't even have a TV, he's just playing handheld all the time too. So it's great. Just buy the system for the game.
Right. This is really interesting because for the first time ever, I can ever remember, maybe since childhood when, everyone just kind of had the same system because there weren't really a lot of options, Super Nintendo, Sega, like that was it. But this is the first time I can ever remember in the history of video games where every single person I know that plays video games bought a Switch. Even those that aren't like super hyped about video games, like I said with Ben, he bought a Switch. Like like all you guys bought them. All the guys who talk with all the podcasts, all my gaming friends, they all bought Switches.
Not even the Nintendo guys, yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like this system is so hyped, and I don't know, at least right now, what the Switch is going to turn out to be. But if it stays this hot and this hyped, it's going to be crazy.
Oh, we didn't even go over the Nindy showcase.
No.
Yeah.
Like all those games coming out.
Yep.
If they're packing in this game with plenty of games we can play right away while we wait for the big stuff, which is they have a plan in place anyways for that. So
and to be honest, what else are you gonna play?
Right.
I mean, come on. Every time I look at Shovel Knight, I love Shovel Knight, but every time I look at Shovel Knight, I'm like, man, I think I gotta play Zelda. So I will say this. And I think this is a record. This is the first time that we've all actually agreed on something. So
right.
that's
But
it's
no, Chris's fault. Just for the record.
just in final thoughts. This is a game that we talk about a lot. I told you today. I walked into church and we had that that moment that I shared with my friend where I hold up my case and he holds up his. It's like that longing. It's like, oh, we're soulmates, and we just stood around and talked about Zelda. And every time I think that I'm overhyping it, I play it again. Mm-hmm. And I'm just blown away again. And I'm even like right now, like I'm talking about it with you guys, and I'm thinking, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, I'm like, I mean, is it really that good? But I know as soon as I put my headphones on and I launch the game, it's just amazing. Like it's a brilliant game. It's a masterpiece. It's so great. So.
And honestly, the only thing I'm worried about, I mean, I'm playing the story right now, right? But as of right now, this game, it really lives up to all those perfect 10s. I mean, it is like I said in the chat between us, like I feel like it might be a perfect game. Like it is just, at least for where we are in video games right now. Of course, video games can always get better, but at this point in time, it's the perfect game. And it's. Yeah, I can't even put into words, man. It's just that good. I can see, with how long the game is, because I think Jose Otero over at IGN said it took him 40, 50 hours to get to the main story. So I mean that's a pretty good chunk of time. And I thought, man, that's gonna take me forever to get through. But this game is it's so good. It calls you. It's like, play me. There hasn't been a game like this in so long, and I just keep putting more and more time into it, and. The Switch is smart as it doesn't have a little meter on there to tell you how long you've actually been playing. The parental app, if you download it, that's the only way to see how much time you put into a game. So I have no idea exactly how much time I put into it, but I'm like, 40 hours, no problem.
Yeah.
Brant, any final thoughts?
No, I made my case for it. I agree with what you guys are saying, and I'm really happy with this start, Nintendo's. I hope that all their major franchises turn out near as good as this. I don't think they'll be as good as this, but yeah.
It's going to be fantastic. There's it's the Switch overall as a whole is going to have an amazing first year. We hope you enjoyed this content from the Life of Gaming. If you like what you saw, be sure to subscribe down below. You can also catch our weekly podcast every Sunday on iTunes, SoundCloud, and the Google Play Store. You can find us on Twitter @LifeGamingPod and on Facebook. Until next time, we are out.